most shocking thing about this whole fight between Tatsumaki and Saitama has to be the fact that Saitama's Crocs have remained on and undamaged this entire fight. Like, legitimately, if there has never been a better ad, I don't think, for Crocs. Like, if there is anything that this fight showed us, is that Crocs are hella durable. And, you know, I will be speaking those praises. I'm not sponsored by Crocs, but I'm a guy that literally the only pair of shoes that I wear, no joke, is Crocs. And seeing my boy Saitama rocking the Crocs, and he is able to keep them on without them falling off. Like, the man doesn't even have, like, the front part, like the little lip that's supposed to be behind your heel. He has them pushed forward, which shows that the way he has them positioned, that somehow those Crocs were able to stay on without the actual lip being behind his heel. And that's impressive. Legitimately, it's impressive. It really just goes to show, like, how great Crocs are. And that's why I wear them, you know, when I go out in the snow, etc. I always do it. Because, you know, for one, you don't need to tie laces, don't need to zip them up, you just put them on like, you know, household flip-flops, and you go on without your day. And, you know, if they get a little bit soaked or wet, you know, they easily dry. So, yeah, I gotta say, impressive, very impressive. I have to say, if there's one thing out of this fight I took, is the fact that, what a Crocs at. But okay, jokes aside, memes aside, I mean, I'm a little bit serious, but jokes aside, this overall direction of One Punch Man with just what has happened within these chapters since Tatsumaki and Saitama had their fight is outright incredible. And that is really just the words that come to mind. Because it's like, yes, I know there's a lot of funny things throughout this. I know people are making fan art, memes, etc. of everything that's going on within these chapters. And yes, I think that is a part of the One Punch Man community. That's no part. Because, I mean, One Punch Man's supposed to be kind of somewhat a comedy. You're supposed to laugh. And I think that, you know, One Punch Man also has that nice little duality with it, where even though it's supposed to be a comedy, there's often times to where that comedy could turn into a lot of serious moments, like stuff like this. Like, we get to see a really serious moment between, you know, Fubuki, Tatsumaki, and Saitama, and, you know, this whole moment here where Saitama basically is talking about how he used to be weak, and then he got strong, and people don't really know their limits, or no one can tell each other's limits. I think that this is legitimately an amazing panel, and it really just goes along with what makes One Punch Man just so good as a manga series, because, once again, I know it's easy to dive into the funniness and stuff with, you know, what's going on here with Tatsumaki and all this type of stuff. I know. But I have to say that just these moments right here is what I really love. Because somehow, despite the series having such an overpowered character like Saitama, that is basically a parody character of, like, Shonen Jump characters or just Shonen characters in general, I think that the way he's written and these side characters on the side really just show the level of quality that's put into this series. And Tatsumaki as well. Like, there's a lot we've learned about her in this overall fight that I guess needs to be talked about. I think one thing in particular that really needs to be mentioned is this brief moment here where we get to see a lot about, you know, Tatsumaki's past, who she believed in, who, you know, she was constantly chasing after. This whole point with the blankness basically shows that she was always running after Blast. She was always wanting to be good enough for him, strong enough for him to be able to be noticed and eventually have a conversation with him once again. You know, Blast was her ideal, someone that saved her, and she wanted to be strong as well. And as, you know, you see this very adorable, cute moment, and you see, like, Blast turning around to look at her, it shifts over into Saitama. And I know that this entire panel is hilarious. It's kind of like, you know, like, God is looking down on you or something. It's funny. It's legitimately a funny panel. But what this whole little moment means is that Saitama has kind of, in his own way, replaced Blast in Tatsumaki's mind. But, you know, Saitama actually turned around and is willing to communicate and talk with her. And I think that this is a very big moment for her character, because now she realizes she is not just, like, the second strongest. She's not, like, the first strongest. She's, like, the third, potentially. And I think that this is a big deal for her character, is because she now knows that, you know, she doesn't need to be the strongest. It's a very humbling moment for her, because she now knows that, you know, there is someone even further beyond and even her, and Blast, you know, Saitama's here. So I think that just overall, with the way this whole ordeal went, it has given a lot of development for Tatsumaki's character to actually understand that, yeah, she doesn't need to be this brute, psychopathic character. You know, there's other people that can also protect her sister and the people that she cares about. It's beautiful, honestly. And I also think that this whole little fight as well that, you know, Saitama did, you know, and basically talking about how she was, like, destroying everything, etc., we got to learn a lot about it. You know, he also showed that if she ever wants to have, like, another match with him, etc., he's willing to do so for her, and I think that legitimately this is a good thing for her. It allows her to actually demonstrate her level of strength and actually not feel like she needs to hold back, like she might accidentally kill someone, etc. There's just multi-layers to what this fight represents. And also, once again, it comes down to also her, you know, realizing that Saitama can protect Fubuki as well, because it's just like, it's a big deal for her. Like, because she's always trying to protect her sister, but someone else is now there. But also, this moment, as well as I already talked about, Saitama talked about how at one point in time he was legitimately weak. Like, he legit could not beat a low-level opponent. But then, eventually, after muscle training, which we know is the joke of the whole ordeal, after the muscle training, he legitimately, you know, got stronger. And he's basically saying, despite, you know, circumstances and the comedy of it, just because someone is weak at one point in time, given enough time and training and effort, eventually they might pass their original limits and get a lot stronger. Just a nice little lesson here, honestly. There's a lot of maturity from Saitama in this moment, which also shows his growth as well as a character, and how his time he spent with Genos and everyone else has really helped him as well, and kind of grounded him to reality as, you know, staying as a human. Because one thing we learned from, like, the Garo and Saitama fight is that if Genos is not around, Saitama would become literally a monster, because eventually, when you have just so much power, and your power is that strong, you'll just become detached. You'll become completely detached from humanity. And the only thing that's really grounded him in reality and made him stay human at this point is basically like Genos or anyone else that he's kind of close to as a friend. And obviously now that, you know, he's kind of had this more interaction and bonding moments, you can see how he's still retaining that humanity, and adding Tatsumaki to this will give him more reason to kind of stay human instead of falling into that, like, oh, he's so strong he might as well be called a god at this point. He still has a realm of realism to him, like he's able to see eye to eye with other people, even if he's so overwhelmingly powerful. So yeah, overall, legitimately, I think that this is just a great chapter of One Punch Man. I know that there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be talking about Tatsumaki's overall fan service and certain panels that are drawn, obviously, like this one, and obviously the funny comments that, you know, Saitama says about tests, etc., which is pretty funny. I know that there's probably going to be some, let's just be honest, doujins made of this, but despite all of that, pushing that to the side, the point is that I think One Punch Man legitimately, it's really showed a lot of its strengths, I think, as of late. And this arc, even though people are going to look back at it maybe as just a fight arc, that's it, and maybe not even something serious, I think it led to a lot of development for Tatsumaki could be with the group from now on, because she doesn't need to be the strongest. So yeah, overall, great. Murata-sensei did a fantastic job with this, and obviously shout-outs to One since he's technically the original writer, but I'm really happy with the way this, like, little mini arc kind of turned out. I know for a fact that obviously it's hinting at other things later on in this group that obviously imprison them and all of that. We know there's more stuff going on, but I think that just right now with this little mini arc, it did a good job, and I'm excited for whatever is next for One Punch Man. But I guess I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, and if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, you know, hit that bell icon down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video as well. It helps with the algorithm and allows more of my videos to appear in people's feeds, or more people can basically subscribe. It just helps me out overall, and I would greatly appreciate it. But with that, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.